I mean, this Park Hill, I remember Prue saying it's teetering on the brink of either hope for utopia or dystopia. And I guess one of the scary things is, will it work? Will it happen? And does it instantiate community?
I feel that there's so far to go with this building. I mean, so far to go that it just feels still like dystopia, and actually it needs something really mammoth. It's not just about imagining, it needs something really mammoth to change that perception. The Imagine project is an AHSC Connected Communities programme funded project that looks at the way that communities begin to imagine the future, how communities work together to imagine the future, and then how they make them happen, either together or with others in collaboration.
University is going to have to change, and it needs to be a way in which they become more humble about what they are. And maybe for me, while Park Hill is a very complex place, there's a sense in which the knowledge in architecture and the ideas behind the project could maybe be used in different tangible ways that actually provided hope. So I'm thinking of small-scale stuff outside the UK that kind of rethinks living from the perspective of residents and draws on this research in different ways. So I do think there are other sites and other spaces where we could begin to make sense of Park Hill, because it is such a hugely iconographic building and it has such resonance across Europe as a place which did try and create a different future for everyday people, for ordinary people. The experiences of people who've worked in communities and in universities to do research together, and we would understand more about the perspectives and ideas that come not from universities but from people in different contexts who want to engage with the ideas in the Imagine project but actually have things that perhaps academics don't know about. And I think part of it is to rethink what that process is. Some people call it co-production or collaboration or participation, but I think that's quite an ambitious aim. And in doing so, we're hoping to rethink how futures are understood and conceptualised.
I think the other objective, of course, is around having a fantastic film about the people who live here now, the people who lived here in the future, that really explores what it means to people and what it could be in the future. It's had such a rocky ride, this place. You know, it was a place that really was ambitious in the terms of changing people's lives, and really what I want to do is to get a film that sums that up and asks lots of questions.
So it's more about the experiences of people who've worked in communities and in universities to do research together, and we would understand more about the perspectives and ideas that come not from universities but from people in different contexts who want to engage with the ideas in the Imagine project but actually have things that perhaps academics don't know about. And I think part of it is to rethink what that process is. Some people call it co-production or collaboration or participation, but I think that's quite an ambitious aim. And in doing so, we're hoping to rethink how futures are understood and conceptualised.
And we're exploring the concept of utopia, the concept of imagining a future through the eyes and through the voices of all of those different stakeholders. What do you think that means for this place now, though, and for people living here now?
Yeah. You see, I think that's really, really problematic. I think what's happened is that different visions of the future have come into play, and actually now there's everything to lose. But I think that the idea of an inclusive future where everybody's housed in a way that's both beautiful and actually collectively transformative is really worth holding on to. So I suppose it's going back to modernism and just saying those were good ideals, can we not recover them, some of those ideals? And they're here in the fabric of Park Hill, they've just disintegrated, but perhaps we can recover the ruins later.
But then I look at this place and I think in people's lives it hasn't disintegrated. You know, the people who still now in the museum or just around here will talk about it with such passion.
Yes.
And remember that moment of moving into this space in the 1960s, about how transformational that was and how important it was. So I think that hope is there for them. I think the major achievement of this project so far is that we're learning to work together, and we are working together now. That feels like a big achievement to me.